After a fantastic season opener at Snetterton, today the Mini Challenge rolls into Brands Hatch, with racing taking place on the legendary 2.4 mile Grand Prix circuit. Now that's a great experience for any driver, but particularly those new to the Mini Challenge. Justin, you're brand new to Mini Challenge and relatively new to the UK.
Yeah, I got here middle of March, so it's basically came over for racing specifically.
So why choose the Mini Challenge?
Basically, firstly, the response that I got from Mini Challenge themselves was very professional and really good service. They were very quick to answer my queries and that sort of thing, which was nice to see. Costs are very good. It's a very well controlled series. The cars are very much, the same car that you're racing against, so it brings out the talent of the driver. And it's not a big budget issue or, who's got more money to spend on fancy components and that sort of thing. So I don't have a huge budget, so it was important to me to be able to compete on level terms in spite of that. The plan was for this year, the prize at the end of the year is a subsidised drive next year in the JCW class. So plan is not going very well at the moment, but that was plan A.
A friend of mine did it a few years ago, a guy called Stuart Clark, who did a stunning performance at Alton Park. I was racing the BMWs there. I didn't know what to do this year, and I met the team, liked the team, and frankly, it seemed like a good idea. And it's fantastic fun. It really is great fun.
Now you've gone straight into the JCWs as opposed to going via Cooper class. Why is that?
Well, to be honest, partly ego. I didn't want to be driving a little car compared to a more powerful car which was available. So the JCW was the way forward.
And I know the guys in the JCW this year, they're competing for a prize to get a drive with the 888 team in the British touring cars, which is, that's a massive opportunity. It's really huge, and that sort of stuff is it makes it so much more exciting, and that you've got something that that you can work towards, and definite exposure that you can build up. And there's actually the outlines of a career path in motor racing, which is something I haven't experienced before, and that's really positive.
Before we get on with today's racing, let's have a look at the action on the track yesterday.
Well, atrocious conditions greeted the drivers as they set off to start to race one. As you can see, or rather can't, the view from Chris Smiley. In the Cooper class, it was even busier. Josh Gollin taking the early advantage and mixing with some of the JCW runners. Ollie Walker, riding car with now, was right in his tail as they headed down Outer Druids for the first time. On towards treacherous left-hander at Graham Hill Bend. Walker closed onto the tail of Gollin, couldn't quite squeeze through in the early exchanges, running out wide over the rumble strip. Well, Walker coming through clearways, lined up another run on Gollin's and accelerated along the Bramham Straight. Josh Gollin, though, holding the inside line towards Paddock Hill Bend, making it very difficult for Ollie to challenge to the outside. Eventually, though, Ollie Walker was able to snatch the lead of the Cooper class, turning into Surtees, a lead that he wouldn't relinquish through the checkered flag. Throughout the field, there are adventures to be had. Justin Taylor tiptoeing his way through Paddock Hill Bend, but going all sideways. The car snapping to the right, then the left, then the right again. Unfortunately, kissing the tyres. Problems and an early bath for Justin Taylor. Patrick Mortimer was another driver who came a cropper, this time at Graham Hill Bend. The Team Scalextrics man derailed. All the while, though, it was Jake Packen who was leading the race overall in the JCW class from Chris Smith and Luke Cordell. Then it all got very busy going through Paddock Hill Bend. Smith ploughs through the gravel trap. Lawrence Davey also into the sand. He shatters the Allen's windscreen. Allen gains the place. Recovering Smith, Davey forced into retirement. Well, through the murk, it was Jake Packen who did come through to take the win from Smith, with Luke Cordell completing the podium in the race overall and the JCW class. In the Cooper class, after that great battle, Ollie Walker claimed the honours from Josh Gollin and Gideon Cresswell.
Well, the engines are revving here on the grid for the second race of the weekend. Up in front for the Coopers is Josh Gollin, and in pole position for the JCWs, it's Jake Packham.
Absolutely gigantic field of cars, so this promises to be very, very entertaining indeed on the undulations of the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Always a highlight on any calendar for these drivers. So let's take a look then how they line up in full, with the top three, as we heard from Michelle, Jake Packen, Chris Smith and Luke Cordell, with Lee Allen in fourth, and Kevin O'Connor and Chris Smiley completing row 3, just ahead of Chris Callis-Russell and George Allen. It's Craig Freeman and Bob Pozier who complete the JCW class runners. Then we have that gap before the Cooper class grid begins, with Ollie Walker and Josh Gollin locking out the front row from Gideon Cresswell and Shane Stoney. Stoney, who went so well at Snetterton at the opening round of the year. Justin Taylor, let's hope that his repairs will be completed as he completes the 28-car grid. They make magnificent sight as they get ready for the rolling start here at Brands Hatch. It's Jake Packen who surges into the immediate advantage in that black and green car. Then Luke Caudle and Chris Smith side by side. Into paddock, and it's Caudle in the black and yellow car who dives to the inside the black and orange machine of Smith. The pair of them run side by side, climbing up the hill towards the hairpin at Druids. Caudle's got the inside line, and possession is 9/10 the law in the mini challenge, and therefore he is able to snatch that second position. He demotes Smith to third. Now Chris Smith has his work cut out to keep at bay and charging Lee Allen. Lee always goes well here at Brands Hatch, and he'll have his Blue Army cheering him on here today as they sprint on the Cooper straight on towards Surtees. The field all running very, very tightly together. A bit lower down the field, Lawrence Davey, part of the next train of cars, but it's Jake Packen who's trying to break clear as they come down Pilgrim's Drop into Hawthorns. Then we've got that three-way scrap going on second position. John O'Brown passes George Allen a bit further down the pack, but what about the Cooper class? This is looking very, very tight indeed as we follow Bob Pozier through Hawthorns. We've got Shane Stoney and Josh Gollin running very tightly together. It's just the white car of Gollin who's clear of the red machine Stoney, and then it's Gideon Cresswell who's third amongst the Cooper class runners as we go back to the front of the JCW class with Jake Packen just clear of Luke Caudle. We ride in car with Luke now as he downshifts into Paddock Hill Bend, driving absolutely on the limit of adhesion, runs up over the curbs and then charges up Harewood Hill towards Druids. He has got, though, right on his tail Chris Smith. It means that Caudle looks to the outside of Jake Packen. He's been hung out to dry here, and Caudle tries to get through, can't quite do it. He's able to maintain that second position. Then we've got the next group of cars headed up by Kevin O'Connor. That's another very nice scrap as well. So wherever you look through this field, it's Chris Callis-Russell who's next man along, then John O'Brown. As Caudle and Packen still running very close together, and Caudle goes through to the frustration of Jake Packen. Head down Pilgrim's Drop on towards Hawthorns, and Chris Smith and Lee Allen still very much part of this fight. So what can Jake Packen now do about demoting Luke Caudle? The pair of them absolutely on the brink through Westfield, and it's equally tight in the Cooper class, and still the white machine of Josh Gollin, who's just got his nose ahead in the coastal racing car of Shane Stoney. We're in car with Ricky Page here, who goes for a very, very bold move on the Walker into Druids. Through he went. Somehow he held it together, and this, the beauty of the mini challenge. Two classes, two separate races, and two very, very tight races as we see a change for the lead. And through goes Jake Packen back to the front of the field. Luke Caudle, though, immediately looks the challenge going up towards Druids. This is the opening for Lee Allen, who looks around the outside and gives a little bit of a love tap there to Luke Caudle as Caudle's demoted to third and robustly defends the position. And Allen's on the grass and into the barriers, and around goes Lee Allen emphatically into retirement. And well, Luke Caudle and Lee Allen have got a very, very close rivalry. Every now and then it does spill over just a little bit. The rest of the field pick their way past the stricken car of Lee Allen. They're built very, very strongly, these mini challenge cars. So Lee, yes, he's fine, if somewhat, very irate as he stalks away. In the Cooper class, equally close though, Josh Gollin and Shane Stoney, still as they were, very, very tight. Just wonder, given the proximity of Allen's car there to the edge of the track, whether or not we might see the introduction of the mini paceman here. Slow pat down right in car Luke Caudle. He does get that slight tap from Lee Allen. He moves across the cover of his line again, a very slight ghost of a contact, but it's enough at that speed to put Lee Allen onto the grass, and thereafter it's a passenger into the tyre barriers and rotating into retirement. Lawrence Davey also having dramas at Paddock Hill Bend, skittering on through the gravel trap. Former Legends racer. Now can Shane Stoney this time around pick his way past Josh Gollin? He looks to the outside of Gollin as they arrive into Hawthorns. Josh, though, has got that car in all the right places. Shows just how wide you can make a mini Cooper when you really want it to be. Also, Ricky Page and Gideon Cresswell having excellent scrap as well for third in the Cooper class. And Walker is in fifth, from Hamish Brandon sixth. And the SC boards indeed do show that the new mini paceman, this year's pace car, is out on track, slowing the field down, allowing the marshals to do their work. Fantastic looking car as well, the Mini Paceman. Well, hopefully we won't see too much of that this season, except for the rolling start races. We'd never like to see a safety car. It's a fine car to lead them around as it pulls in now, and the race gets underway with Jake Packen leading Chris Smith, then Luke Cordell in third position. Cordell will be looking to fight his way back towards the front of the field, although it's now Chris Smith, who often comes good towards the second half of races, who's taking his turn to challenge Jake Packen. Very contrasting driving styles. Smith much more calculated, calm in the cockpit. Jake Packen, he just gets his head down and charges, and thus far this year it's been to very, very good effect. He romped away the early races in the first meet of the year at Snetterton before failures rather stymied his challenge later in the weekend. Patrick Mortimer having a good scrap as well with Mark Stewart. Mark just steadily picking his way up through the pack. At the moment he's got Craig Freeman on his tail. Jake Packen still leading the way into Hawthorns once more. John O'Brown very, very tight. Also George Allen and Chris Smiley having a great scrap. It's Chris at the moment just to the head of Allen Senior, who can often be found making the odd appearance here at Brands Hatch. As coming through and on is the race leader, Jake Packen, and Packen in command of this one. Good scrap going on behind though between Lawrence Davey and John O'Brown, and Davey again pushing very, very hard into Paddock Hill Bend. In John O'Brown very, very tight, and Brown gets a little bit of a nudge through the bottom of Paddock. Just pitches the car slightly sideways, and that is all the opening that Lawrence Davey needs to squeeze through the pair of them running side by side through the hairpin at Druids, and then back down the hill towards Graham Hill Bend, with John O'Brown taking the opportunity to return the compliment to Lawrence Davey, just tapping him out ever so slightly sideways. A pair of them still side by side along the Cooper Straight, as finally Shane Stoney makes that move stick in the Cooper class, and it boxes them all up together as well, because immediately Josh Gollin pushed down. It gives Gideon Cresswell and as well Ricky Page the opportunity to join the battle there, and Ricky Page is probably going to come off best from this in the white car, number 33, as Cresswell runs wide. Lawrence Davey emphatically beached Paddock Hill Bend, as heading through Clark Curve for the final time of asking. It is Jake Packen who's going to take the victory. Very, very hard fought win from Chris Smith in second, and Shane Stoney another fighting drive to give him the victory in the Cooper class from Josh Gollin. Very, very dramatic race there from the Mini Challenge. Let's take a look at the top six, with Packen winning it from Chris Smith and Luke Cordell. Chris Callister-Russell doing very well for fourth from Mark Stewart, and George Allen completing the top six. In the class results, well, the JCW class as ever, the top three in the race overall, so Jake Packen from Chris Smith and Luke Cordell. In the Cooper class, Shane Stoney, who claimed the honours from Josh Gollin, and Ricky Page scoring an excellent third in the Cooper class, all of which gives us a very exuberant and happy podium as the drivers receive the spoils of victory in the Mini Challenge. The Sunoco fuel voucher 20 litres for the winner of the Cooper class, and smiles all around.
Well, that's it for part one. Join us again back here at Brands in just a few.